Well, good evening and welcome wherever you're watching around the world. It's fantastic to have your company once again on European Cricket Studio Live on a Thursday night. And it's been fantastic over the last 4 weeks. All through April, we've been bringing you these shows, European Cricket Studio Live, Michael McCann and myself. So this is actually our last show on Instagram Live. We're off next week, but we hope you join us on Facebook Live from Monday, May the 11th. So make sure to keep up to date with all the European cricket news. You must join the European Cricket Facebook page, and that's where we'll have our next show from the studio on Monday, May the 11th. Well, we've got a whole hour of an interactive chat, and it's really a conversation, not just between myself and my guests, but also you guys. We want to get your input, so please fire some questions in tonight. We had some sent in to us over the last couple of days, and we do appreciate those, but it would be great if you fire in some questions, either in the comments or using the question bar feature built into the Instagram Live at the bottom of your screen. Well, my first guest tonight, he's back to face the music. We had a great conversation on Tuesday on the Maximo show. He's Scotland international. Also, he represents Forfisher, who qualified for ECL 20 before that tournament has unfortunately had to be postponed. But it's great to have him back tonight. Please welcome Michael Leask.
Hi, Vinny. How are you? Lovely to be back. Thank you.
It's great to have you back, Michael. We had a very good reaction to your performance, if you want to call it that, the other night. You had a lot of interesting stories and many interesting things, such as the fact that you once captained your dad, and stories about travelling to South Africa as a youngster, and of course all your adventures with the Scottish national team. So how's the last couple of days been for you, Michael?
Yeah, real easy. Obviously, just a little bit of time with the dog and trying to stay fit. It's pretty tough in this tough time, but it's just got to be done, isn't it?
Well, we did have quite a few questions actually for Freddie, your dog, but we're not going to start with one of those. Now, it's great to have you back, Michael, and we really do appreciate you being involved in the European Cricket Studio. So if you don't mind, Michael, we've got a couple of questions that were sent in, so I might just start firing them away. Is that cool?
Absolutely.
All right, so this is the first one. Now, this is from a fellow Australian. I love this one. This is from Gordon, who's from Adelaide. He wants to know, what sort of a sledger are you? And can people even understand you guys with your accents? Now, I want to know, Michael, do you talk a bit when you're on the field? Or as my Scottish grandmother used to say, do you hold your wisht?
No, I'm very, very chatty in the field, unfortunately. They tell me to shut up most of the time. But, yeah, they can understand me. I'm just not very good at the sledging sort of thing. But yeah. You try your best, don't you? But you get told to be quiet most of the time.
Well, it can backfire, can't it, when you're sledging?
Very much so.
I love to have a chat behind the stumps, but I think that batsmen that I really have a go at, they're averaging 100 plus. You can always bet that the next ball disappears out of the ground. So sledging, but as you say, you have to give it out. You have to be able to take it as well. Can you remember the kind of cheekiest sledge or the funniest sledge that you've ever copped on a cricket field?
Oh. Not really. There's been a few probably very, very good ones. I remember just in the World Cup, I'd just been laughed at in the slip cordon. It wasn't so much a sledge, it was more just the knowing that you are absolutely scared for your life and they're just standing there on the 30-yard circle just laughing. You're like, oh no. There's nothing worse than looking around and going, oh dear, this is not where you want to be right now. But no, I've probably copped quite a few good send-offs more than any. It's probably a better one.
It can happen, can't it? And look,
definitely.
you know, they only send to the good players, Michael. So if you are getting a bit, that's just a sign that the opposition thinks you're a bit of a threat. Now, we had a few inquiries about your time at Somerset, actually, and this comes from Mark Lovell, and he was talking about your former teammate Marcus Trescothick at Somerset. He says, Trez is called Banger because he loves sausages. What's your nickname, Michael?
Oh, okay. We'll go. So my nickname used to be Seal Pup, unfortunately. So I was in the water. We were having a warm down after a game with Scotland under 17s, I think it was. And I had, again, very similar, not much hair. And I popped my head up the water, and somebody else has just looked around at the wrong time. And they went, "Oh, you look identical to a seal." I was like, "Oh, brilliant." So I was like, "Oh, perfect." That one's unfortunately stuck with me since I was about 16, 17. So that one's probably the worst one that I've been called for a while. So
Seal
it could
Pup,
be worse as well.
A bit of a slippery character.
A bit
I
different,
remember we used to sometimes call some of the worst fielders in the team seals because of the kind of.
No, well, it could be that as well, but yeah.
Well, we know you're an excellent fielder, and we saw some footage of the other night doing some outstanding things in the field. So thanks, Mark, for your question. We do appreciate it. We've got another question here from Cricket Jersey, and they want to know, what was it like touring Pakistan with the MCC? That must have been an exciting adventure for you.
Yeah, Pakistan, I reckon that was one of my favourite tours. Actually, one of the guys just sent a video on our group about 10, 15 minutes ago. I reckon that's one of my best tours I've ever been on. The hospitality, the cricket, just the people in general, they were absolutely amazing. Like, you never expect, you don't know what to expect because you don't want to go there having a thought about it. So I was kind of like open armed. I was like, yeah, brilliant. I want to go on this tour. It's going to be so good. And then the people you meet, the people you play against, it really was. The hospitality was incredible. It really was.
Yeah. Well, I think touring Pakistan these days is a little bit different to some of the stories I heard from some of the older players I used to play with, playing in the 80s, where there wasn't too much food or fair umpiring, according to some of their stories. And the facilities weren't quite what they are now. But yeah, we all hope that we can get more international cricket into Pakistan soon.
Definitely.
As the situation develops there, because they've been starved of it for so long, and it is really a wonderful part of the world. And we actually know so many of the European players do originate from that area, including one of our guests coming up later in the show. So we look forward to that. There's a follow-up question here from Cricket Jersey as well. Cricket Jersey saying, do you think eligibility rules for Scottish qualification need to be easier so county guys can play for Scotland?
Not necessarily. I think it all comes down to, I think you've got to have Scottish grandparents or have lived in the country for a certain amount of time. So I think, for me, it's a very simple one for that one. If you're Scottish, you're Scottish. Or if you're English, you're English. You're Irish, Irish. So for me, with that one, it's very tricky because a lot of the county players who have played for Scotland have Scottish background. So that instantly would allow them to play for Scotland. So that's absolutely fine. But it becomes then down to you have to be in the country for, I think it's 3 or 4 years to become eligible. And then either that or have Scottish mother or grandparents, I'm fairly sure, to be eligible to play for the country.
Sure. Yeah, and look, we don't want to expand it. Don't talk yourself out of the team. That's the first rule as well, Michael, even though I think you'd be my first 11 pick for Scotland regardless of how they did the eligibility rules after seeing you whack some balls out of the ground, especially in that 2018 game against England. We've got Paula here, who might be a relation of yours. Wants a shout-out to Zoe, your favourite niece. Is Zoe your favourite niece?
Oh, I can't answer that one because I've got 2 nieces, so I'd be very much favouritism if I said that. So, but I will give her a hello for her anyway.
It was fantastic, and hello to a few of the ECL regulars. I saw Rauf Zaman, who's one of my favourite players from ECL, plays in Spain, and he's an excellent wicket keeper as well. I've got another question that came in during the week, and this comes from Italy actually, and it wasn't long before we're going to get to this. This is from Claudia D'Agostino from Napoli. She wants to know, is Freddie a good boy? And is he named after a certain English all-rounder, perhaps?
Well, here's the man in question himself. He's having a little nap. He's a bit tired. It's been a busy day for old Fred. So, yeah, he's pretty zonked, his old Fred. He's not intentionally named after a famous English cricketer, but he is... I suppose it kind of ties in nicely because he was one of my favourites as a junior. So... I mean, probably there's probably some form of something in it, but it wasn't intentional at the time.
Yeah, well, it's nice to see Freddie, and I'm sure he'll play a starring role in the rest of your time here in the studio. And if we have you back,
I'm sure.
Teach Freddie some new tricks for us. And
we're trying.
Some things. You've seen some cricket videos probably recently of people nicking balls to their dogs, and the dogs catching them. Is Freddie a good fielder, or is that a bit beyond him?
Yeah, no, he would definitely try it. He might try and chew the bat first. he might be a bit anxious to catch it. He's as soon as he sees tennis balls or just balls, he just wants to play with them. He's a bit mad from that front.
So you've got a seal pup and an actual pup in the house. So it's a very interesting dynamic you've got there.
It's an animal-friendly house, this.
Anna, your wife has her hands full, that's for sure. I've got one more question here from Cricket Jerseys. Some really good questions. So I'm going to put this one up here. And Cricket Jerseys want to know, how upsetting was it to see a 10-team World Cup last year, realising you'd beaten the world champions in an ODI not too long before that? How do you feel about that?
I mean, this hits home pretty much. We talk about it. I mean, every other sport in the world is expanding their reaches in terms of allowing other teams in. Like you've seen the Japanese in terms of rugby, you've seen hockey expanding. Cricket seems to be going the other way. As soon as you get on the big stage, you never know what can happen. So I think if you have the more associate nations that can get involved, it'll be more and more exciting. So it's a bit disappointing to see a 10-team World Cup, to be honest, because you see some of the more exciting games. If that game wasn't a World Cup, everyone would be still talking about it, whereas the English are trying to forget about it as soon as they can.
It wasn't that long ago. We've seen some upsets this century in the World Cup. We've seen Ireland beat Pakistan. We've seen Ireland beat England in the World Cup. We've seen Bangladesh beat India. Before Bangladesh were kind of more established on the scene, and that's one thing. It seems like the ICC has taken this kind of position that the T20 is the way to expand the game to the associate member countries, and is kind of giving 50 overs a back seat. But of course, a wider range of skills are required in the longer forms of cricket. So I'm kind of with you here. I have to say I love seeing the 12, 14, 16 team World Cups, and it's just about getting the format right. And we want to see cricket developing in lots of places. The only way to do that is to play the best. And I think what you said about the rugby is true. I mean, I remember Japan being walloped something like 130-7 or something in a World Cup not that long ago, but they come back and they beat the Springboks this year.
Exactly.
And they've been really competitive. And so I certainly share your thoughts there, and would love to see more teams in the World Cup, and let I'd love to see, especially with Europe going forward, I'd love to go to, when my kids are playing or my grandkids are playing, to have a 32-team World Cup, much like football. I think football's probably going to 64 soon, if I'm not mistaken.
It wouldn't surprise you. It just shows that if you have that, it shows the more talent that's out there. And it gives younger kids more hope to actually think, well, if I stick at cricket, then we've got more chance of getting to a World Cup. So it becomes a much more enjoyable experience as well. If you get kicked out of a tournament knowing that you've gone and you've given it your all, going to a World Cup, because actually the highlights of World Cups on at the moment, so it's great looking back at those memories as well.
Yeah.
When they get taken away from you just by being a 10-team tournament, it's a bit tough actually at times.
Yeah, well, I've got Mark Lovell coming back saying, careful, Vinny, ICC broadcast team may be watching. Well, I am actually half Scottish. Unfortunately, I didn't meet the residency requirements to try and play with you. I know you've got a Crossy is a very good wicketkeeper there for Scotland, but I'm very pro Scotland and the other associate nations getting a pathway into that World Cup and getting more big game, global exposure, and that's the way that we want to improve cricket and spread it around the world. So I stand by my views there. I will not be muted. All right, we've got another one for you here, Michael. I'm sounding more Scottish than you with the way I'm talking. Now, this one is actually, I love it when we get kids sending questions in. This comes from Laura, who's actually a young Scottish lass. She's 8 years old from Glasgow. And she says, I love playing cricket with my older brothers, but I'm a bit worried about catching the hard ball when I got older. And I'm not surprised, because in Glasgow, it can be very, very cold. She wants to know, can you give us some advice about catching the hard ball and perhaps ways to practice and technically catch the ball in the right way?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Laura. Laura indeed. Look, it's you grow into it. I suppose you start with tennis balls, you move to the next one, which would be an Incrediball. You do get hard tennis balls as well. They're like a red coloured tennis ball. So I mean, you could maybe move on to that, which is a little bit harder to catch as well. They hurt a little bit more, but I suppose the more you catch, the more you get used to it. It's a lot of soft hands as well. You practice just trying to catch with soft hands. I suppose then it's more just getting used to it. There's also then you can use like a plastic incredi ball as well. So you could, the next step could maybe go tennis ball, harder tennis ball, incredi ball, and then onto a cricket ball from small range, and then you can always increase it. I wouldn't say it's something to be scared of. I would say look forward to the challenge of seeing how you get on with it when you get older.
Yeah, and it's one thing that's a good thing these days. There are these degrees of balls, and you know, I remember actually when I was a kid, we were playing with a hard ball at 8 or 9. I don't think they do that anymore. But yeah, catching the ball correctly, technique's really important, isn't it? And I remember Rod Marsh, who was a little bit before my time, but I've watched a lot of videos of him, and he said, you know, if you want to keep 10 good fingers as long as you can, and so if you try to catch the ball the correct way, either fingers pointing up, fingers pointing down, occasionally to the side. But he says if you start trying to catch them like this or like this, you're not going to have too many good ones left. So thanks so much, Laura, for sending it in. It's great to get that kind of a question. And guys, if you have any others for Michael, we've still got him for another 10 minutes or so. So fire them in the comments. And yeah, it's been great to get a range of questions from all around the world. And we're really excited to bring the European Cricket Studio here on Instagram. And don't forget to join us from Monday, May 11 on Facebook Live, where we'll be continuing the studio through May. And I do have one more that was sent in that I had keyed up here for you, Michael. And this is from Ram. So Ram's a regular viewer, and he's coming all the way from Chennai in India. And this is quite an interesting one. It said, as a noted big hitter in the Scottish T20 team, do you bat after a certain number of wickets or after a certain number of overs? So is your position in the batting order dependent on the game situation?
I wouldn't say I'm a noted big hitter, but occasionally I get thrown in if we're going really well and they want somebody to try and keep up the tempo, then I might get given the nod and say, look, you've got a bit of a license to go and play your game, or take a couple of balls to get in and then you've got a bit of a license after that. It really depends. It could be an over that I get given the nod and say, right, from over 13, 14, you're going to go in and try and change the game or carry on what we're doing, or it could be a case of we're going really well after the power play, no matter what, you're going to go. You know, it could be that sort of...
Yeah.
It really depends on any given day, any given time. It could be other people as well. There's a whole number of guys that have got their pads on the side waiting to go as well. So it's just, as I say, anytime, be ready in T20 cricket especially.
That's the way it's going. I think T10's the same. I think everyone's wearing the pads in T10, just waiting to get tapped on the shoulder. If you do get to experience the ECL, I'm sure you'll have that kind of situation arising in the dugout. Now, we do have one more now. Cricket Jersey's fired in a few really good questions. I'm going to put this one up here because I saw this flash up. This is a classic one. What would you rather have? Play a test for Scotland or win the T20 World Cup? Great question.
I think for me, the purest form of game is test cricket. I think to play a test match for your country is the pinnacle of cricket. I've always grown up watching test match cricket. I know that the way the game's going, T20 cricket would be a great one to win. I'm not saying that winning the T20 World Cup wouldn't be amazing, but I think just getting that test cap and actually being a test cricketer would be a phenomenal feat for any cricketer.
Well, I just seen Pavel Florin from Cluj Cricket Club in Romania join the chat, and he has actually pitched me an idea during the week, which I might be trying to bring in a couple of weeks. He's been practicing bowling just a full pitch length at a set of stumps. And I think he's going to start challenging some people to an over and see who can hit the stumps more. And this could be kind of a remote challenge, which obviously at the moment it's hard to get in the one place. Now, is that something I said? The biggest problem you're going to have, Pavel, isn't that, you know, you're not going to be good at it or whatever. But I said it's going to be hard to get professional cricketers to take you on in case they lose to you. Now, Leask, if Pavel would like to challenge you to one over bowling at a set of stumps, is that the sort of challenge you'd take on, or are you too chicken?
I'd miss. I'd comfortably miss. I wouldn't have any problem in missing. But I don't have stumps in my house. But yeah, I'd need to source a set of stumps. But
we can organise it. So you're not saying no. So you're not saying no. You're saying it's...
I'm not saying no, but I'm also saying that I'd probably lose.
Yeah, well, we'd be happy to see you lose. You know, Pavel's got a big throng of fans, but you know we love you as well. So may the best man win. I think that's something that could be coming up perhaps in the month of May. I think we'll have to set that up, and you might be praying for rain if you're doing it in Scotland. But you did tell us you've got the dome. You've got the dome there. You told us.
We have got the dome at Par for sure, so it does make a big difference in terms of being able to train, yeah.
So you got no excuse there. Now,
I haven't, unfortunately.
This is actually a question from my next guest, and he fired this in on Monday and we didn't get to it. Also, pardon me, on Tuesday. Hamid Wardak, who represented Findorf, the German champions in last year's ECL, and he had a really good question, which was, what's the best way of recovering from a game and making sure that you're 100% ready for the next game? Do you have any tips?
Oof, it's very much dependent on person to person. For me, I'm depending on when the next game is. So we're used to playing 3, 4, 5 days of one-day cricket in a row with when you go with Scotland Day and stuff. So for me, it's if you've got a swimming pool or whatever handy, get in that. Or if you've got any recovery bands or a foam roll or anything like that, just spend 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes on that at night, wherever you're a bit sore, or first thing in the morning, jump on it as well, wherever you're sore, and just make sure that you kind of give yourself a good stretch off, and kind of, because cricket does come thick and fast, especially when you're going to be playing in these tournaments. If you are sore, just get a foam roller, spend 15, 20 minutes on it. Yoga is always a handy one as well. If you've got some good yoga videos, just stretch off the bits you're sore, and I'm sure there'll be plenty out there as well.
Yeah, everyone has their sort of ways that are a bit personal. They like to do things. I know that Dennis Lilly used to do things like jog to the ground and jog home after a day of Test cricket, and that's a very, very old school way to do it. That's before they were managing fast bowlers as much. But I have a lot of my friends who are playing high-level T20 cricket, whether it be Big Bash in Australia or perhaps IPL, and they say they're just as sore after a T20 game as the 50-over game because it's just such an intense form of the game.
Yeah, definitely. It's the T20, you almost find you're worse because T20, some guys, the better fielders go long on, or they're always in the boundary or always in the heat of the game. So there's no chance that you're just in the middle and then running between the wickets. It's just a whole different aspect. So then you up your game by another 20%, I reckon. The whole intensity of it just goes through the roof. Yeah,
definitely. Oh, geez, there's all these good questions. We've only got a few minutes. I'm going to just keep these answers as brief as you can, Michael, because we love this expertise you're giving us. It's not easy because we could talk for a lot longer on it. But this is from actually Roger, who's in Switzerland, and he wants to know, do you have any dedicated mental coaches in cricket? Do you have a specific person whose job it is to psychologically mould you into the best player you can be?
Well, there is a psychologist on board with Cricket Scotland as well. So if there's any, they always do speak to us on weekly basis, monthly basis. We hold like team chats, all that sort of stuff as well. We do range from different individual stuff to team stuff as well. So yeah, we have a psychologist in the team with us.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Yeah, that's definitely something which has come into the game, not only in the mental skills aspect, but also the mental well-being of players as they're put under pressure so often, and just making sure. And Michael McCann had a very good chat with Ryan Campbell, former Australian international, a couple of weeks ago about he was actually really struggling mentally at one point in the game, and he got the kind of help he needed from his coach at the time, but there was no one really specifically whose role was to take care of the mental well-being of the players. So I think that's something that's a really good trend, and we've seen some players taking a break from the game just to mentally kind of recover and make sure their head's in the right place. So that's something we want. We want cricketers to be happy people while they're playing cricket, after they finish playing their cricket. So I think that's really important. So we've got another one here from Rana, and he wants to know, since you're an off spinner, it's very kind because I don't know how much you turn them, Michael, but since you're an off spinner, that was a low blow. Sorry, I'll take that back. Since you're an off spinner, do you think that ICC rules for illegal delivery are too harsh, or would you like to see the release degree, the permissible kind of angle in the arm, to be bigger? So what do you think about that?
No, I think the way it is very fair at the moment, just due to the fact that it's a hard enough skill as it is. Being an off spinner is a pretty tough skill, and to become the best, if you look at Lyon, if you look at Swan back in the day, they were the best of their art, and they didn't have any problem with the degrees of how much you want it bigger. I don't think
degree of tolerance.
Yeah, I think the degree of tolerance that's the way they've got it, and I think that they make the rules for reasons I'm not not getting involved with the
and
rules.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Because it was always in the laws of cricket that you couldn't have any degree of straightening your arm. But then it was found in more modern times when these people were being tested biomechanically that it's actually impossible to have an absolutely zero amount. So around the time of the Marillitheran kind of controversy in the 90s, these rules were formalized to allow a certain degree of tolerance. And I think you're spot on there. I think that, we see the best off spinners in the world, like the players you mentioned, doing a great job and doing it in the right way, the more traditional way, which I think it's an underappreciated art. I think off spin's one of those things that everyone can do it, but not many people can do it well. That's kind of how I would describe off spin, and there's a big difference between an average off spinner and a really, really high quality off spinner.
Oh, definitely. Every fast bowler also thinks they're an off spinner as well. They always, after their spell's done, they always want to try and bowl off spin in the nets, and everyone thinks they're an amazing off spinner and thinks it's easy.
All right, I've got just maybe one or two more to go, and this is from Rana, and they're asking, how inspiring has it been to see Ireland get test status recently?
Oh, yeah, it's always good to see guys that you play against getting test status. It's a bit of a sting for us as well, knowing that we're so close as well to achieving it. I think it's obviously something the Irish have deserved probably before their time now, because they had a really, really good squad 10 years ago or so, when the likes maybe even 5-6 years ago, whereas they've been given it probably a few years too late, I reckon. If they had it a few years ago, they'd have had guys at their peak and been able to compete even more than they are. But I think they've got a great youth squad, a great squad at the moment as well. We always seem to have good games against them, but not in the red ball stuff. And they've deserved, to be fair, every opportunity they get in the test stuff as well, to be fair.
And they gave England quite a scare last year when they bowled them out for a horrendously low total in the first innings. Unfortunately, they weren't able to win that test match. Now, I need you to do one more thing for me, Michael. Now, every week, we do have a quiz on the European Cricket Network website. It's the weekly quiz, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can win a pair of Painter cricket shoes. Now, we do a segment every week, and I didn't warn you about this, Michael, but one of the questions is normally a segment we do on our Thursday show called Random Household Object. So what I do is I ask my guests to just pick something from your house, and you can wander off if you like, take a minute, and just come back with something random from your house, a random household object. It can be anything you like. Can you do that for us? And
a random household object. A
random household object. It can be anything that's in the room, anything that you think's interesting. Think about it for a second. Now, while Michael's finding his RHO, random household object, they get a lot of questions, as we always do, about people wanting to play in the ECL and how to do that. Now, there's some great material on the ecn.cricket website there that will give you all the information you need about what you need to do to find a club and how that club can qualify for the European Cricket League. Of course, there won't be a European Cricket League this year, but we will have the European Cricket League starting on May 30 in 2021. So make sure, if you're interested in playing the European Cricket League, that you do go to the website for that information. I've seen Mark Lovell saying Freddie. I don't know if Freddie's a random household object.
No, he is. He's not an object, but the little dudes, what are you doing there? Are you going to become famous? Look, you're going to say hello to everyone.
Hello, Freddie.
Yeah, there we are.
He's a good boy. I think he is a good boy. Now, what have you come up with, Michael, for us?
I have my barrel. I have a barrel for whiskey, for rum, whatever you want. I've got a nice glass barrel that our Scotland captain and his wife gave for us for our wedding gift.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was sitting just behind me on the shelf behind me.
Well, I do find it quite amusing that it's empty. That says a lot about your isolation, what you're doing at the, moment. So
absolutely, that sums up isolation for me, I think. So
if you emptied that before the show. So there it was. It was a glass barrel. Make sure, and you've got the advantage by watching the show, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it perhaps on our YouTube channel, European Cricket Network. The random household object for this week for the quiz, and it opens tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the morning, Central European time, closes 6 p.m. on Sunday. It is a glass barrel. Well, Michael Leask, thank you so much for being a part of the European Cricket Studio.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
we would love to have you back perhaps in a few weeks, and I'd love to maybe see a bowl-off between you and the bodyguard, and wouldn't that be a tussle? And look, at least it's a bowling competition. I'm not asking you for a wrestling competition against the bodyguard, Michael.
No.
So, I think you'd be a favourite in it. But it's been wonderful to get to know you a little bit better. We certainly hope we see you in the ECL. We wish you all the best for this season, however it takes shape. And I hope to see you around European cricket for some time to come. So thanks very much, Michael. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having us. Cheers. Thank you.
That was Michael Leask, ladies and gentlemen. What an interesting character. Like, every team has these characters, and he's really shown the ability with the bat and the ball at international level to have an impact on the game. But at this time where cricketers are sitting at home, it's just great to get to know him, and we certainly hope that we see him in the ECL soon. So don't forget that weekly quiz. You've got the random household object. It is the glass barrel, and a reminder to everybody that we will be back in this studio Monday, 11th of May. Michael McCann will be doing his show on the European Cricket Facebook page, so make sure you subscribe to that if you haven't already, and also the ECN European Cricket Network YouTube, where you can catch all the games from the ECL and the Dream 11 European Cricket Series. There's highlights up there. There's different videos. You can catch up on the European Cricket Studio shows. So we certainly hope you subscribe on those platforms to get more European cricket action. Now, our next guest was a bit of a star with his team SG Findorf in ECL 19. He's a German national player, and it's going to be a pleasure to have him on the show. So he is definitely someone that I'm looking forward to meet, and is German international Hamid Wardak. Hamid, good evening.
Hi, Vinny. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, and it's great to have you on this show. And I wanted to chat to you for a little while, actually, because I did watch you in ECL 19, and I thought you were really good. You were opening the batting and opening the bowling for SG Findorf. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what that experience was like for you, being involved in the first ECL and actually making it all the way to the final?
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. It was like a dream coming true. So to be honest, I wasn't expecting this event to be that big. And I've been in a couple of events, including the ICC events, but this one was like all the cricket that I've played. This was the best experience I've ever had. And the journey through the final, that was like a dream, Even we didn't have a very good game, the last one, the final match, but still we were more than happy of just playing that final.
Well, there you are, smoking a big Maximo there over long off. And I loved it how you kept your shape, and you weren't just cross-bat slogging everything. You were playing proper cricket shots, which is what I like to see when I'm in the commentary box. But yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? Because you guys really seemed to change your game plan, because in your first game, you weren't that aggressive with the bat. And you did go down, I think, in the first game you played in the tournament. And then you seemed to realise, hold on a second, we need to be really, really aggressive and get these aggressive players up the order. And from then, you had a winning run that took you all the way to the final.
Yes, it was more of a feeling kind of a thing. We weren't really, practice-wise, we weren't really prepared as far as the grass wickets are concerned. We did our practice, we did our whatever we could do here in Germany. But we got better day by day, and then we just saw who's hitting the ball well and who are our hitters. So according to that, the batting order was just changed.
Nice catch there. You see that one on screen. Now, I remember you dropped one, didn't you? You dropped one at a cover, and your hat blew away. I remember this. And you had to chase it. So it was bad enough you dropped the catch. You had to also then chase your hat to the boundary. It was a very windy day, wasn't it, on day 3 of the ECL?
That's absolutely true. So this one, the second one, which I caught, actually was hit like a tracer bullet, and it actually hurt my hand as well. I had only 2 options, either to just get hit on my face or to just try and catch it. And luckily I could just hang on to it.
It was, you were catching it or it was catching you, that's for sure. And I remember in quite an amusing episode, when you went and got your hat, you came and put it on backwards. And I was calling you like Bart Simpson, you looked like. And then the umpire actually told you had to put your cap on the right way. Is that what happened?
That's true. The wind was very, very strong, and it was kind of distracting me. And the catch which I dropped, before that ball was bowled, I was kind of telling to myself, get ready, the ball might come to you. And that's exactly what happened. And my hat just blew.
Well, look, we've got a question already from Michael McCann, who's my offsider in the European Cricket Studio. He says, what was it like to get dietary tips from Amjad Khan in Monday Night's show? Have you already started putting Amjad's diet tips into practice?
Yeah, that's actually quite a good thing to have these tips from the pro players. Because for us, it's more like with the German national team, when we are having a tournament, it's quite squeezed in, like 4 or 5 matches in a week or something. So in order to have these tips and then use them is absolutely handy. Even today, what Michael Leask said, that was also like very handy.
Yeah, we've really enjoyed having this forum to connect European cricketers from different backgrounds, from different countries, to share this knowledge, because that's the only way the players are going to get better. And I know your journey with the German team, of course, you've been in Germany for the better part of a decade, and it almost took you all the way to that qualifying tournament. You just missed out by the barest of margins, didn't you? So tell us a bit about your adventures with the German national team.
So I came to Germany in 2011, and from 2012 onwards, I've been with the national team. As you can see there, me and Westy in South Africa.
There he is, Daniel Weston, lazing around as usual.
So it was a wonderful experience. It was a really good experience, winning the European League One, European Division One in 2017, and then we went to World League 5 in South Africa in Benoni. And this picture is from there. It was absolutely a wonderful tour, like a wonderful experience. And last year was also, it was quite a lesson actually for us. So to see being so close to your achievement and yet too far, that was very hard to digest. But sure. That's how it is. This is what cricket is, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, your journey to Germany, I'm quite interested in that as well, because you grew up mostly in Pakistan, you said. So explain to us how you came to be in Germany in the first place.
Yeah, so I'm born Afghan, but brought up in Pakistan. And then I got in touch with my wife, who I'm happily married to. I didn't want to come to Europe at the beginning. So we were in touch for 6 months or something. And then we broke up. It was back in 2007. And then in 2010, she came to Afghanistan just to meet her relatives. And then we said, okay, let's just give it a shot. Let's just try it in Germany. If it didn't work, then we'll choose any other country, a third country. But she definitely didn't want to come to Pakistan or Afghanistan. That was quite sure. Yeah,
well, that obviously shows some commitment. And you've definitely sealed that commitment now, because I know that you're happily married and you've got 2 children. So I think your children, you're telling me you have a newborn, you also have a 5-year-old. So how has being a father affected your cricket career? How's that put cricket in perspective?
I was talking to one of my club mates yesterday. It makes one really mature. And like, without having a kid, you can be a kid at times. But when you have a kid, being a father, you just know, okay, now I'm a grown up. So that taught me a couple of lessons, and obviously patience. It's made me calm being a person. Yeah, and it's absolutely wonderful. It's a dream being a father, having kids and your own family, you know.
Well, I don't know if your son's any good at cricket. Is he left-handed? Do you know anything yet? Is he shown any interest? Sometimes it comes later. My son's 8 now, and he still hasn't quite got the bug yet. But, you know, in his own time, that's what I think.
It might kick in later, but he's interested in my gear. So if I come back from a match and I put my kit bag somewhere, within 5 minutes, everything will be just out of that bag and he'll be padded out. But if I want him to play, he doesn't really show any interest yet. So you just need to see a couple of more ECL videos. Actually, he was there when we were playing there. So we were on a small holiday and he was there. And at the same time, I saw everything behind the scene, all the preparation and everything that was done. Like, kudos to Westy and the team that they've achieved something as big as this.
Yeah, well, speaking of children that are great at cricket, I don't know if you've seen Westy's son, Daniel Weston's son Casper with a cricket bat. He's not even close to 2 years old, and he can whack the ball. He just sits around the house whacking balls. It's absolutely crazy. I'm not sure who has to clean them all up afterwards, but yeah, it's interesting how children do get interested at different points. And I know for me, it was when I was 7. I had no cricket background, but I just really got interested. I think I read a book about it, and then I started watching on TV. So it's one of those things that I think as a father, you have to be supportive and nurture that interest. And obviously, being an international cricketer yourself, you can obviously have a lot of knowledge to impart. Now, this is I've got a couple of questions for you before we let you go.
Sure.
And we do appreciate your time today on the show. We've got Cricket España, Cricket Spain, saying, how did you enjoy your training camp with Germany in Desert Springs recently? Did you head down there?
Yeah, we were at the beginning, from 5th to 9th March there. It was wonderful. It was absolutely amazing. The facilities were like world-class facilities, having 5 nets, I think. Yeah, 5 parallel nets, and then a very good cricket ground with 3 grass wickets or more. I'm not sure, but it was quite a good experience. I didn't do well personally, but it was just pre-season preparation. It was quite a nice experience.
Well, that's great to hear. Now, we've got not much time, but we have heaps of questions for you, Hamid, and we'll have to have you back when we're on our Facebook Live show. So keep these answers as brief as you can. Now, Pavel has come in, and he wants to know if you had to choose in a T10 format, you can only bowl 2 overs or you can open the batting. You have to choose one or the other, because we know you can do both. What would you choose?
I'd rather like to bat. So
okay.
I used to be a batsman. I am a batsman. But now I'm more of a bowling all-rounder. But I used to be a batting all-rounder.
Sure. And look, it was the kind of thing in the T10 format. We didn't really get a chance to see the best of you, I think, particularly with the bat. I could see that potential there, and hopefully if we see you in another tournament down the track, of course, you're a young man. I think you're only 32. So we saw even 48-year-olds playing in this tournament last year. So we hope to see you back at ECL and smacking some Maximos out of the Lamunga ground. That would make me very happy.
Fingers are crossed.
A couple more questions. We had Mark Lovell. He's popped up with a few questions. He was saying, how many languages can you speak?
5 official languages are the one that I can speak and write. Read, write, speak, and officially interpret it.
5 languages, and that's Amar Khalid, Amar Khawaja piping up with, he knows you very well, and you'll choose both the options, batting and bowling, is what he thinks now. I'd really love to have Amar on the show. So Amar, if you're watching, we'd love to have you on the show at some point, because he gave one of the all-time interviews that I loved after he won the game against Catalunya. I think you needed 42 or 3 overs, and he just started whacking balls left, right, and centre. And I've never seen anyone so excited. Now, I've been known to get excited, but Amar was very excited that day when he was interviewed by Urvashi.
Cricket-wise, I think he would love to just face spin bowlers. He would just love to face them.
That's what he said. Okay, we're going to roll through a couple more of these, and this is from Mark Lovell as well. Do you send Scott Edwards hate mail?
No, I didn't. But I gave him a couple of glares, actually, a couple of stares. I mean, I actually played against VOC 2 weeks after ECL, but I couldn't bowl to him. He didn't come to bat. I could bowl to Peter Salah, and it was quite a small target, so got chased pretty easily. Yeah,
sure. And you know what? Your first over in the final, like we know that the final didn't quite go the way you would have liked. But your first over actually quite a tight over, wasn't it? There might have been a 4-leg bias in there, but do you remember how much your first over went for when the innings total was 222, the first over? Do you remember?
I think it was 9 runs. Obviously, I
think it was 9. I think it was 9 runs, including 4-leg bias. So I think you only conceded 5 off your first over. Unfortunately, second over, we don't have to talk about that. That's fine. And we've got Harish. I did want to get to Harish's question as well, who was on the show last night. Hello, Harish. Nice to hear from you. You said you had a good game plan against Farnholm. What was your game plan against them in the semi-final, of course, which was a bit of an upset, some would say, to take you all the way into the final?
Yeah, to be fair, if I just rewind and see that day how it went, actually, I had time to prepare for Swanholm. So I watched their game against Rotterdam, and I I had my notices, like I took my notice and got prepared and made the boys prepared to that game. But for Rotterdam, I said it's way too far to do everything now. So I said, okay, in between, if we got if we won the semi and if we went to the final, then in between the matches, I will just sit and do my homework on Rotterdam. But unfortunately, with that catch which I caught, and my hand got injured, and in the break in between, I just was trying to get some medical help. And I wasn't supposed to play the final match, but somehow I did play, and somehow I did both the overs.
Yeah, and look, you played very well. It's one of those things. The batting was outstanding, and it was really difficult because you could. I think some of your plans were good plans, but the batsmen just were equal to it. The way that they were sweeping balls, the way Scott was sweeping balls from outside the off stump, and using the wind. But a lot of cricketers I know learned from that innings, and I'm sure we'll have a slightly more even competition when we do resume next year.
I think that's the difference between a professional player and a player like us, like club players or hobby cricketers or semi-professional, as I call it. The professionals are just like their game level is a lot higher than ours.
But you definitely had your moments. And you might have seen recently, we're going to talk about this with Dan Weston, who's going to join me shortly, but the Dream 11 European Cricket Series is a new concept this year, which is taking these regional 10-over competitions around countries in Europe. Now, of course, the coronavirus situation has put a stop to that for the meantime, but how much would you love to play a Dream 11 European Cricket Series tournament broadcast all around the world in Germany?
I got really excited when I came to know about this idea of that being happening. And the first thing and the first answer in my mind was when we were having this club meeting and we were just talking about it. Should we take part in it or not? I just said, yeah, definitely we'll take part in that. Because I think T10 cricket is quite exciting. And at the same time, if it's being broadcasted, then it kind of brings out the best in you. As far as our club, our players are concerned, especially, I've noticed it. And definitely this is like a mini experience of what we experienced last year in ECL, and we'll definitely take part in that.
Yeah, well, we'd love to see you pulling on the boots in a Dream 11 European Cricket Series. Hopefully this year. We know things are changing now. Things are opening up. Of course, there's no guarantees, but we hope that you get some sort of cricket in this season. Hamid, it's been a pleasure to have you as one of my guests tonight. We've got so many other questions and we had so many well wishes in the comments. You can go back and read them when you get a chance, perhaps on the YouTube channel, European Cricket Network, ECN. But for now, Hamid, it's been a pleasure, and I'll hopefully see you again soon in the European Cricket Studio.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Cheers. Peace.
Thanks, Hamid.
Bye-bye.
Hamid Wardak, another great character of European cricket. And what a story. From Afghanistan, originally growing up in Pakistan. We didn't even get onto his experience playing against some of the Afghani international stars in some games before he did decide to make the move to Germany. Didn't play cricket originally, but then found out he could play some cricket in Germany, and before he knew it, he was in the national team. And of course, his German cricket experience has included now the ECL for SG Findorf in last year's ECL. Just a reminder, guys, this is our last Instagram live show for now. We're off next week, but we'll be back on Facebook Live Monday, the 11th of May. It's at 9 o'clock, so it's a little bit later. It's 9 o'clock Central European time. So make sure you are subscribed to the Facebook page of European Cricket. If you're not sure where that is, just go to facebook.com/European Cricket. And also, not to forget about the weekly quiz. It opens tomorrow morning. We've had a couple of winners already. They were very happy with their painter cricket shoes. And we've got another set this week that you can choose either white or black. The Bodyline Trainers 412 are the shoes up for grabs this week. So it's very easy, 6 questions. Make sure you get on ecn.cricket first thing tomorrow, although you do have Friday, Saturday or Sunday up to 6 p.m. to answer those 6 questions and be in the running. And we will I'll let you know next week who won the shoes. Now, my last guest for tonight, to wrap up our Instagram live experience, which we've had all through April, he's the founder of the European Cricket League and a former German international. Teammate of Hamid Wardak, actually, former teammate of mine, and he is the one who has made the vision of the ECL a reality. So, ladies and gentlemen, could I please invite Mr. Daniel Weston to join me in the European Cricket studio, and he's going to keep us up to date with what's going on and what's happening going forward. Welcome, Daniel.
Hi, Vinny. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks. And it's a busy time, isn't it, with the European Cricket League? Obviously, we had the announcement last week about the qualification for ECL 21, and there'll be some more information. A few articles going up over the weekend about that and my thoughts on that. But then moving forward, post-COVID, are we any chance to see another Dream 11 European Cricket Series anytime soon?
I hope not, because I'd rather just sit here and watch the European Cricket Studio. It's more entertaining, I think, isn't it?
I'd like to have something more to talk about, though. I think that would be good as well.
Yeah. So I mean, no, you've done fantastically well in actually bringing up all these issues and topics in the last few weeks with some amazing guests. And that's when we haven't had cricket to play. So in the future, we will play cricket, and I've got a bit of a gut feeling about when some things are going to happen now, which is really good. And when that happens, you know, to be able to talk about the stories that are happening sort of live and at the day and sort of current affairs rather than talking about historical stuff, we'll just take the whole thing to the new level. So yeah, no, I'm super excited. But I mean, I sit here every day, can count on you and Michael to entertain us and bring some awesome people into the show. Like I loved learning about Leask and looking forward to meeting him. And I think that genuinely he's the best techers for marking centre on Instagram I've ever seen. I mean, we need to get that on loop.
That's such a batting nerd thing. The marking centre just sits there and scratches it like he's going to bat all day. There are only 5 balls left in the innings.
Oh my gosh! I mean, but just the feeling of him doing that would have sent him through the roof, I think, with his adrenaline. But just to watch it, like the authority and the positive nature that he marked that middle with, I mean, it just says a lot about you know, how you play your game. And I think European cricket needs to have that sort of positive mindset and really push ourselves in our boundaries so that we can keep promoting the game really fast. And then to have Hamid on just before me, not only a hero in my eyes, but a champion of the game. And I mean, he might talk about himself as a club cricketer, but I mean, he has a mindset of a professional cricketer, and the way he goes about his preparation and thought processes about the game is wonderful, but he never takes it too seriously. You know, he's just a super person to be around. And I was fortunate enough to play with him, you know, over 4 or 5 seasons. We had a partnership of 73. So I was opening and he came in after we lost a few wickets, and we put on 73 against Sweden, and then I ran him out, unfortunately. So I'll never forgive myself for running out one of my best mates in the game and such a super person. But I thoroughly enjoyed that innings with him because we, you know, a lot of the memories you have of the game are the ones that are done between partnerships in the middle, and that was a super moment for me. And then to see Hamid play at the ECL was, you know, something that's too good to be true in my stomach. So. But
you do have those memories, don't you, of those partnerships, no matter what level they're at, these special partnerships. And I know there's been some that, from my point of view, partnerships against the odds or at a certain time in the game with certain people that you're close to. And they're memories that live forever. And that's really what cricket's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when Hamid and I were batting against Sweden, you know, we were in a really tough position. We brought our team back, and you know, just the thought processes that we were going through were magical moments. So that was a special memory for me. So that it was really good to see. And SG Findorf, what they're doing up there in the north of Germany is superb. And I wish them all success in the future. And when they do get to play in the European Cricket Series and take their T10 game to another level, you know, they've got the ability in a T10 basis to really do a lot. So I hope to see them in the ECL again in the future. But I guess I think there's two. I know we've only got 5 minutes to go, but I think there's 2 really important themes to talk about today. And the first is that I think this is the beginning of the end. And when I say the beginning of the end, I have a feeling that it's the beginning of the end of the lockdown, because there's some good news stories that are coming out, whether it's from drug companies, but it's also from, I think, talking to Cyprus today, getting some word from Denmark, what's happening in Belgium potentially, you know, in Germany. There's glimmers of hope, or there's some light at the end of the tunnel now that we could potentially start having dates where we're ready to play cricket again. And it looks like June, you know, in the first or second week of June, it looks like there can be some cricket played again. And then before that, it looks like there could be some training happening again. So we've done the hard stuff, you know, like a game of cricket, you know, you do the hard foundations early, and I think March and April have been really hard for us. May, we can start to understand what the future holds, and then some cricket's to be played again. So that's exciting.
Yeah. And the Dream 11 European Cricket Series. What a concept. I know you've been working really hard behind the scenes with all these different federations to try and see how quickly we can get some of these going, because it is a great experience, a unique experience really outside the European Cricket League to expose more European club cricketers. And we see a fantastic catch there, and there's a tree on the field in that Alicante field. So what a hazard. But I know you're working really hard to get some Dream 11 European Cricket Series happening again.
Absolutely, and we will play as soon as we can, as soon as it's healthy and safe to. I'm a little bit concerned about how our game will change because of this virus. You know, there's talk of not being able to stand next to the square leg umpire by 5 meters. Talk about not being able to keep up to the stumps as a spinner. Talking about disinfecting the ball, the helmet, etc. I just hope that the game doesn't get ruined to suit a mysterious, mysterious virus. So hopefully the game can be played again, but without being changed too much. Yeah, but as soon as we can, we will.
Definitely. And so what's the process? If federations would like to get in contact with you, they just need a stable internet connection and a ground. Is that kind of the process? What should countries do if they think they'd like to host a Dream 11 European Cricket Series? Okay.
So I've been speaking to a lot of the federations all the way through this process. Obviously, we need a club with a venue that wants to host the event. And then for us to do what we want to do, which is bring the game to the world, we need power so we can plug in the cameras and a good internet connection so that we can send the live stream up. And, so we wanted the barrier to entry to be able to promote cricket should be really low. And that's what we want to do to make cricket the winner, like Roger's just said.
All right, Daniel, we're under 2 minutes, but I want you to knock through a couple of questions for me if possible.
Sure, and then I've got one more announcement.
Who's a better keeper then? One word, Daniel Weston or Michael Richardson, current Daniel German keeper? Okay, there you go. That was a quick answer.
But now, Michael would say the same, so that's good.
Exactly, that's handy for you. Go ahead, you have the floor's all yours with 1:30 to go in our broadcast today.
Yeah, so I've said it was the beginning of the end of the lockdown, and I also think it's the end of the beginning with the European Cricket Studio. So we had this concept to try and bring a talk show and interactive and engaging chat to the world. We've done that. I think it's an awesome show. What you're doing is absolutely phenomenal and fantastic, and lots of energy and effort. It's really great and it's very professional. But we try to do it on Instagram because I think that's the fashionable way to do it nowadays. But I think we all just feel as though the audience, the bigger audience, because we want to reach more and more European cricket fans and players and volunteers and participants and everything, widen that community. So we're going to have a break for a week, get everything technically set up and ready to go, and then we're going to start. We're going to take it across to Facebook, and that will be, the start of, something that I think this European Cricket Studio can be very entertaining for many years to come.
That's right. Well, I just wanted to say thanks to all of our viewers. Sometimes we've had a lot of live viewers and more people have watched later, and sometimes we've had less. But whoever's been involved, it's really been great to connect in this way. I know Michael McCann and I have really relished the opportunity to bring the European Cricket Studio to you for the last 4 weeks. So you can see there, Facebook Live, Monday, 11th of May. Last word, Daniel Weston, thanks very much for joining us today on European Cricket Studio. And I guess we'll see everyone at Facebook Live, Monday, the 11th of May. But from now, from all of the team, Michael McCann and I at the European Cricket Studio, on behalf of Daniel Weston, it's goodbye for now. Keep hitting them high and handsome. See you next time, 11th of May.
Thanks, Vinny.